Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Chelsea Brown, physical therapist and founder at Reboot Concussion Recovery. I specialize in post-concussion, dysautonomia, and vestibular conditions. In this video, we're going to dive deeper into dysautonomia and exercise. If you're living with dysautonomia, the idea of exercise may sound impossible and even a little scary. Maybe every time you try, your heart rate spikes, you get really dizzy, you start to pass out, the fatigue just wipes you for days. It feels like you're constantly getting set back. I understand. It can be so challenging. But what if I told you if it's done the right way, exercise can be vital, it can be medicine, and can get you better. Today I'm breaking down why movement is one of the most powerful tools we have to help your autonomic nervous system recover and regulate. So here's a little refresher about what is dysautonomia. Dysautonomia means there's a dysfunction in the autonomic nervous system, the part of the things that control what should be happening automatically, things that we don't think about like sleep, hormone regulation, digestion, and even heart rate. When this system isn't regulating properly, standing up, exercising, or even daily tasks can cause symptoms like racing heart, dizziness or lightheadedness, fatigue, brain fog. So the body learns to avoid these activities, but actually that makes the symptoms worse over time and we end up a little bit more deconditioned. So we're going to use exercise as a regulation for your autonomic nervous system. It's not just about getting fit. It's about retraining your body to tolerate upright activity again and learn to respond appropriately for the given heart rate. So we're not seeing these crazy heart rate responses every time you stand up or just because you walk up a flight of stairs, right? We're retraining that this heart rate matches the intensity and the effort that I am putting forth for said activity. So here's how exercise helps. It improves blood vessel tone and circulation. Gentle, consistent exercise strengthens the muscles that pump blood back to your heart, especially in your legs and your core. It also supports autonomic reconditioning. So over time, the nervous system becomes more efficient to managing heart rate and blood pressure changes. We are training your body to have consistent input and effort. So you are the consistent part, right? Because this is the one thing of the autonomic nervous system we can control. We can give your body consistent input and effort so that it learns to re-regulate and output a consistent heart rate that matches that intensity. It does take time though. It also builds mitochondrial and cardiovascular endurance. So this helps with fatigue and energy regulation, right? So your system can handle more activity without crashing. We'll talk a little bit more later in the video, but this is why we can see really improved functional changes despite the positions that we might have people exercise in. So stay tuned for that. And lastly, it enhances recovery and nervous system balance, right? So we have that sympathetic side, our fight or flight, and we have our parasympathetic side, or rest and digest. And the movement helps regulate the balance between the two systems so we can constantly have that normal tug of war we should have between our sympathetic and our parasympathetic sides. So the key with exercise is how you approach it. Exercise should never mean pushing through your symptoms. It's about pacing and building tolerance to activity. This is where established protocols for dysautonomia can be helpful. Personally, I use the Utah ADAPT protocol, but there is also the CHOP protocol out of Philadelphia that is widely accepted as well. These protocols can be helpful as a guide, but note that you can enter and exit these protocols no matter where you are in your journey, where you are currently functionally, what you can tolerate, and also what are your desired goals. You do not need to go all the way to the end of these protocols if your desired goal is just to improve your tolerance to day-to-day activities, and running is not something that you ever want or wish to do, right? So we can make sure that this is adjusted and appropriate to you specifically. When starting an exercise program, we want to choose an appropriate position for you to exercise in that you could tolerate exercising on a daily basis with minimal to no symptom provocation. right? So if we're choosing something that, and you start exercising and you can exercise on Monday, but that crashes you for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that is not appropriate for you. That has been pushed too far. So the positions for exercise, starting with the least gravity dependent, is going to be our supine or mat-based exercise. So that can be horizontal plane. That can be wall biking. So feet are up on the wall or on a couch, moving your legs. That can be swimming. Swimming is only going to be appropriate if swimming is something you enjoy and have easy access to, but that was why Katie Ledecky was so successful in her POTS recovery, because swimming is stage 1, least gravity dependent, and something that she loves and can do very, very well. So very helpful for being consistent in her recovery. If swimming is not something you enjoy, it's not going to be helpful for yours. The next position moving up in gravity dependency would be the recumbent position. So that would be exercises like rowing or the recumbent bike, where you have a little bit of back support and you're slightly leaned back, right? So that's going to be a little bit more gravity dependent than our horizontal plane, but it will be less challenging than the next stage, which would be our true upright positioning. So that would be something like a spin bike or seated exercise where the back is less supported. You're totally upright against gravity there. And then our final position would be standing. So that would be walking, elliptical, running, stairs, things like that would be in our most gravity position, our most gravity dependent position. So we want to make sure that we are picking, like I said, a position and intensity that you can perform daily. Ideally, 20 minutes is the goal, but if you cannot tolerate 20 minutes of exercise initially for something that you could do daily, note that something is better than nothing. You will slowly build, stack minutes over minutes until you can work yourself up to the 20 minutes. This would be called our preconditioning stage. Note that in the preconditioning stage, we can still have significant functional improvement. I had an individual that I was working with, and I think she was only up to about 10 minutes of wall biking in the preconditioning stage a day, when she told me that she had significant improved tolerance in her daily commute, which included walking to the train, taking the train in Boston for, I believe the ride was probably 15 to 20 minutes depending, and then taking another 10-minute walk or so to her office. So that was a pretty robust, I would say, depending on the day, probably a 30 to 45-minute commute. And she was doing really well with that commute, saying she didn't have significant heart rate spikes. It was okay if she got on the train and she couldn't find a seat, she was able to manage. She even was able to go to a concert at a football stadium, park, where parking can be really far from the stadium, walk to the stadium, and then even stand for a good portion of the concert. And all she was doing was the preconditioning stage. So in this preconditioning stage, don't discount it. We can still see significant functional improvements in somebody's day-to-day when they are still in the preconditioning stage. And why? Because they are not pushing too much for their body. We're getting the benefits without significant setbacks. So don't discount that preconditioning stage. Again, gradual progression is going to be really important. We will increase time and intensity slowly over time, making sure that when you are making these changes, your body is ready for them. There's minimal symptom provocation when you do up intensity or duration, and those should not be added at the same time. But things like that it is gradual. It's not going to be one day you're preconditioning and the next week we're running, right? Like, it is going to be something that takes time and can be very beneficial to have a provider helping guide you along the way. Outsider view looking in as when is it appropriate to progress and when does your body still need some time at that given stage. Finally, the thing that can help balance with our daily movement is nervous system recovery practices, right? We're talking about that balance and that tug of war between sympathetic and parasympathetic. When we finish our exercise, adding in breathing, rest breaks, and making sure we're fueling properly can help with acknowledging we had sympathetic drive that was important and purposeful, and balancing that with these parasympathetic recovery techniques so that the nervous system has that shift back into recovery. So that can be really helpful post your movement, to just taking a couple minutes to breathe, let the heart rate come back down, have proper rest before you go on to your next thing. As a reminder, progress is going to look different for everybody. What matters most is that you can be consistent and that you give yourself compassion. Note that it is going to take time and acknowledge the small wins along the way. Being able to progress within stages, progression from one stage to the next, those are big moves. And also the functional wins that you have along the way can be something to celebrate as well. So when we say exercise is medicine, it's not just about working out, it's about strategic therapeutic movement that helps your body learn how to regulate again. It opens up your capacity to more. And over time, that means more energy, better symptom control, and the confidence to return to the things that you love and enjoy. If you're ready to start but not know where to begin, check out my other videos on pacing and nervous system support. And if you're looking for a little bit more guidance, use the link below to check out my services on my website or schedule a connection call to see how I might be a good fit for you. Because your body isn't broken, it just needs the right tools to heal. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I wish you the best on your recovery journey.